Hello everyone and welcome to Cyber Regic. Previously we have covered the topics around why you need to prepare for CISSP certification exam and what are the things that need to be focused while preparing for the CISSP exam, various domains which are there in the exam and the percentage of questions around each of the domain. Now we are covering each of the domain in detail to help you identify what all is covered in each chapter for the CSSP exam preparation. Let's start by saying that all domains are not created equally, and the questions are not created equally around each of the domains. So CSSP has weighed those questions in a different manner, not equally, and that's why you will find that there are more questions around one domain, and you might find that there are more questions around domain 1 as compared to domain 5 or domain 3. So that is something which is the way the exam is designed. Now we start with domain 1, that is security and risk management. Here we this is a very important chapter and it focuses on risk. So risk is part of all the discussions. Everything starts with identification of risk. First you identify the assets, the vulnerabilities, the threats which are there to the system, and then you determine the potential risk. Then you particularly you mitigate the risk and you have to monitor the risk. So risk management, the purpose of risk management is to maintain business continuity. So this chapter will focus on risk and how to maintain a business continuity. It also covers a few plans which are important, like business continuity planning and disaster recovery planning. So these are part of this chapter, and vast majority of questions are covered in this chapter. Now the second chapter, that is second domain, is asset security. Asset security is a very short chapter wherein we classify the data and we determine various roles in the organization related to information security. So the roles in the organization around security will determine how the risk will be managed, or if there is a security incident, how that incident will be handled, how it will be mitigated. So that decisions are taken based on the hierarchy of the organization. Also we cover the states of data, how the data is classified, what are the states of data, like data at rest, data in transit, data in process. Various we will talk about data owner and data custodian, and then we will talk about system baselining and hardening. Hardening is securing the system. So these also, and few of these topics are covered in detail in other chapters as well. Now, the third domain is security engineering. This is a very huge chapter. So, here we focus on secure design, which leads to the secure product. So, we will say that security is not just an after product, or it is not something, a patchwork which can be done at a later stage when um, uh, you are already having the product and now you are thinking about the security of the product. So it is something which is built in the design of that product. So it is something which has to be added, which should be from the beginning, from the design process itself. It has to be included, security has to be included from the design so that the product is secure finally. Here we have covered various security models which handle the confidentiality and integrity. So there we have different models around this. We will cover those security models in detail in this chapter. And we have cryptography, which is a very important part of this domain, and it's a huge part of this exam as well. So cryptography, various cryptography techniques, we will talk about the types of cryptography, we'll talk about the various algorithms and details about each of the algos. So this is very important chapter. Now we have a domain 4, that is communication and network security, where we will cover we will focus on essentials of information security. We will talk about OSI model, various protocols in each layer of the OSI model. We'll talk about the TCP/IP model, various layers in the model, and various attacks which are possible on certain layers of the OSI model. Various mitigation strategies we will talk about. We will talk about firewalls. We will talk about proxies. So this is an important chapter as part of the exam. Now we have domain 5, which is identity and access management. So access to various domains has to be managed, and it is done in a particular way that we identify the user accounts, then we provision the access to those accounts. We have to make the decisions that who will get the access and how and on what basis that person will get the user account will get the access. So it is a need to know basis or least privilege basis. So this will be covered in detail in this chapter, and we have few models around accessing managing the access. So those models will be discussed in this chapter, which is very important. Now we come to the sixth domain, that is security assessment and testing, wherein we will cover the vulnerability scanning or the vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, various strategies of VAPT. We will talk about uh, determining or detecting the defects, the vulnerabilities. So we will talk about IDS and IPS. We will talk about various tools, various techniques which are there for vulnerability assessment, and various steps that are need to be performed to perform penetration testing, types of penetration testing, white box testing, black box testing. So we will talk about everything in detail in this chapter. So it is not a very huge chapter, but it is an important chapter for the exam preparation. Now the seventh domain is security operations, where we focus on the day-to-day operations for maintaining information security. So there are topics like redundancy, clustering, change management, configuration management for maintaining security. We will talk about backup, restore, various techniques for backup and restore. So these will be covered in detail in this chapter. Now the last and the final domain that is very important also, which is the domain 8, software development security. Here we will focus on software development life cycle, various models for software development, waterfall, spiral, and different agile. We will talk about these models. What are the common exploits which are present? uh, what are the web application exploits? We will talk about OWASP top 10, where we will cover different types of attacks which are there, SQL injection and cross-site scripting and cross-site request forgery, and how it is mitigated, how it is determined, how it is mitigated. So we'll talk about the mitigating strategies as well. We will talk about database structures and how databases are exploited, like SQL injection and all. So the mitigation strategies. So everything will be focused around software development, where the actual security has to be handled. Now we have covered briefly all the 8 domains, and in future we'll take up chapters around each of the domain and talk about all these topics in more detail. Now I would want to tell you that we have to focus mostly around security and risk management, that is domain 1. Domain 3, we have to focus on cryptography, which is a huge part of the exam, as I told you. Then, communication and network security, domain 4, which is very important. That is the base of information security. And finally, that is the most important chapter, that is domain 8, software development security. I am saying that these are huge chapters, and the percentage of questions from these chapters is more as compared to other chapters. But by that I don't mean that you don't need to focus on other chapters. You have to focus on all the 8 domains, but most of the questions are from these chapters, and you will find that some concepts of other chapters such as identity and access management are covered in risk management or something. So there will be questions around all of the domains. So uh, thank you everyone for patiently listening to us, and please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and watch out for further CISSP exam preparation videos. Thank you.